Yay! Hello, everybody. It's time. It is tarot time. Welcome to our Tarot Tuesday, Tarot Reviews Day. I'm so psyched up because I have a very charming deck this week. A very particularly November-y deck. When I was planning what decks I would do for this month, I was like, this one for sure. So this is the Woodland Wardens deck by Jessica Roux. She is the author of the deck and the illustrator of the deck. She's an illustrator. And when I first, hey Courtney, what's up? When I first saw this deck on another reader's YouTube, I was like, I have to get this deck. I have to get this deck because it is so freaking charming. It has the most delightful energy. So look at how like snug and cute and kind of cottagecore our the art on the back is, with all of its little millefiori, little teeny tiny flowers and leaves. It reminds me of like you know, like some sort of medieval tapestry where you have like the teeny tiny flowers and flora and fauna just sort of like woven in to like a background that's like a little bit dark but not too dark. I love this shade of green. And this deck in general has a lot of very beautiful, so it's just animal imagery paired with some sort of botanical imagery. So this one here is the snake and the fern. And so she uses the character of the snake and the fern, but she's also thinking about mythology and folklore as well. And so the natural world intersecting with folklore and mythology is just like a big yum for me, right? So the theory of this deck, Woodland Wardens, is the idea that there is this beautiful magic and connectivity between living things. And so whereas our last deck really delved into the magic of finding the weirdlings and the wise ones out when you're going off the beaten path in the woods, these are about the things that we kind of do see in everyday life. Ladybug! These are the things that we do see in everyday life that have this kind of magic to it, like woodland wardens, like people who are the guardians of this natural magic, plant magic, animal magic. And so she brings them together, and I love her illustrations. So oh my God, the ladybug card and then the V card. Oh my God. So ladybugs are like a synchronicity for him, and bees are a synchronicity for me. So animals are such beautiful synchronicities. So again, talking about the magic of the plant and animal world. How many times do you like associate an animal or something with a loved one, and then that animal shows up for you when you need it? For me, bees are my ancestors and ladybugs are his mom. So it's so cute. They pop up together for us all the time. And so this is just like a little bit of the kind of magic that this deck has. So again, I think her illustrations, they're so charming. First of all, look at the face on this cat. Like, it's so round and serious. But she does these, so the background, it's very like sort of flat. And what we're getting here is just the animal and just the botanical, and we're focusing on this. And so sometimes we have like these beautiful, like we're suspended on a dark background, or sometimes it's something a little more gentle. But what we're getting is this quality of her drawing that's graphic, but in a very soothing way. It's not too bold. The finishes on these are very soft and delicate. There is some attempt at shading, but not enough to try and make it dimensional, which creates this really beautiful, dreamy sense of space that I absolutely love about these, right? So this is a deck that I really like to use because I have aphantasia, so I don't have a mind's eye. meaning that I lack the ability to visualize. So I used to think that like when people, like I'm in yoga class and they're telling you to visualize something, I always thought that that was metaphorical, right? And so what I would do is I would like talk my way through it, or I would try to feel like what it would be like to be in whatever space it was. So I found my way around, but once I learned about aphantasia and that it isn't a normal state for people, I know, aren't they gorgeous, Leah? That it isn't like, that most people can create images in their mind's eye. I realized, first of all, why I was having trouble in art class, because people around me were able to see and refer to an image in their mind. And I could only really do something solid if I had a reference image that I was working with, which is fine, right? It's just another way of working. But for me, as a medium, I wasn't able to develop those abilities of speaking with people on the other side of the veil until I started incorporating that with tarot cards. And I was realizing that there were people who I couldn't see who were making their thoughts and sentiments known by using the words and images on the card. And once I realized that, I was able to develop that skill, because these images have a lot to do with how they talk. Like if you're watching like John Edwards or Tyler Henry and they're saying like, oh, I see like I see a bumblebee, and you can say, oh my gosh, that's my grandmother, because, you know, bumblebees was our thing. We talked about it. Or, you know, so I'll pull out a card and it has a dolphin on it, for instance. And this client was like, oh my gosh, the last time I spoke with my son, we were like together watching dolphins and we were happy. And so like when I use animal cards specifically in a mediumship reading, it often is a way, I don't refer to the book, because I'm going to look at the query and say something like, does a dragonfly mean something to you? And usually it's like, yes, at my mother's funeral, 3 dragonflies landed on my windshield, you know, that kind of thing. So this is something I really like to use for those sorts of readings. But also, you know, oracle cards, these are great pathfinding cards, because again, we're in the woods, right? And so I would also really recommend these cards if you're trying to find your way through something and you need to think through the emotional body, your thoughts, feelings, your emotions. And this is a great deck to help give you some cues on those, because there's a lot of like, this one here is mischief. This one here is innocence, right? And so the idea of having mythology and folklore to reference, if you're familiar with these, this is a great deck that you're going to draw a lot of stuff out of, despite what the book has to say, right? So the iconography of this deck gives you so much to work with. So as a reader, I think that these cards are very useful. And for me, they're a great size that are super comfortable for my hands, which you guys know is a big deal for me. So now that we've seen the deck, we've talked about the deck, it's time for our collective reading. So I'm going to give this a little shuffle-roo and think about, what does the collective need to know at this time? Son of a gun. Okay. This card was the shadow card on the deck when I initially picked it up to bless it. And I was like, this is one of those cards that I feel like people would be like, I was thinking about this card. So it's interesting that this is the one that came out. We have the moth and eucalyptus, right? And so this means an ending. And so this is the kind of card, when it comes out in a reading, people instantly want to freak out, because for some reason people think that endings are scary, right? But it's interesting that we've kind of scaffolded into this with our previous 2 readings, which were all about change, that were all about autumn, and the nature of autumn is the hope of spring, getting us through winter, right? That when the lights go out, when things go dim, there's light to come. And so it's interesting now that we're being asked to think about that period of ending. So here's why I think endings are a little scary for people, because endings do mean change. They mean a new beginning. They mean getting your bearings in another state of being, right? But an ending can be painful in that there's always this space between the hard ending and the beginning of the new normal. And I always refer to this space as the turning of the page, right? Where we have the one thing that ended. So let's say, for instance, my plan is to graduate my undergraduate program and then move, right? And so I finished my undergraduate program. Oh my gosh, the ending happened. So exciting. But I'm not moving and starting my new program for like 3 months. So for the space of that 3 months, that was deeply uncomfortable. I'd given up my apartment. I was working at an ice cream parlor, and I was 39 years old. Like, oh my God, I did all of this so I wouldn't be exploited for minimum wage. But I need seed money to move to DC, right? And so there's that turning of the page part that can be very scary and frustrating, where the new exciting thing hasn't begun yet, but the old paradigm is certainly over for you. I call this space the void. And for me, it's the ultimate source of creative energy. It's the time for you to rest and recover and repair as you're beginning to think about those seeds you're going to plant next spring, right? So don't be afraid of the winter that is coming, metaphorically, right? For those of you who are in this sort of winter period in your life, it's natural, because that is the way that the cycle works. You plant your seeds, things grow, you're spending a lot of time in the garden, and then you're harvesting, and then you have that period of rest and recovery. Every year is like that. Mother Gaia models this for us. Our lives go through these cycles over and over and over and over. So it's natural to have that winter part. And it's so interesting because that same person, oh my gosh, I'm now remembering this, the same person whose channel I saw this deck on, just had a transmission about how natural that winter part of our lives is. So if anybody knows the Gem Goddess, or go to the Gem Goddess on YouTube, I would say go to her channel and look at what she has to say about the turning of the year. It's like, I think the video that she just put up. So if you just go to her videos, you'll find it. And maybe I'll like link it on my Facebook page so it's easy for people to find. But so we have death in eucalyptus, and so the moth in eucalyptus, and this idea of an ending. And so I think that we've been kind of scaffolded into this idea of hope, right? Light at the end of a period of darkness, right? That everything turns and everything has its wheels and cycles. So you're not going to be stuck here forever. Whether it's the kind of dark cloud kind of covering everybody right now because there's a lot of winter happening around us right now, or if there's something personal happening for you, you're being asked to rest assured that it's safe. This ending is safe. Eucalyptus is healing, right? It's a medicine. It's something that I use to when my body is demanding rest from me and my sinuses are inflamed, and I'm going to use eucalyptus, right? It's something that we use to kind of soothe us when we're in a bit of a craggly time. So think about that. Maybe look to moths as a sign that this is just a period. This is temporary. It's a temporary state. Maybe look to eucalyptus as the idea of healing, right? So that is our little transmission for the day. I love you all so much. Thanks to the folks who, stuck into the end. Thank you to the folks who will be watching this later. I love you. If you're interested in booking a reading with me, I have appointments open. Just contact me here on Facebook. Much love to everybody. Mwah. Have an awesome week. Bye-bye.